Jim, thank you so much for joining us today.
Pleasure being on. As usual, what's happening? I actually think we're inning. This is I see phony solutions. Continue to try really get out of them, but we're in now. This is the end of the end game.
Now, I'd like to discuss about this today, and in the past, and it seems like did you want to discuss forecasts that NATO is fracturing right now?
It's very messy with respect to NATO. French participating in Syria and Russia and Syria. But there are examples where Germany, France, and England have all pirate oil convoys from ISIS. Past, as I mentioned, and Britain have been working very closely with in Syria. Big event. States weren't participating. They attempted against, and there are very deep consequences for this, and it looks we're seeing whereby Russia is the with the Turkish military. What I'm trying to say is there's more cooperation between the Turkish and the Russian military, and Russia's request to temporary usage of the Air Force Base, a gigantic Air Force Base, many square miles, Air Force Base, and it looks like it's off limits. Evidence of off limits is that the U.S. military and move them to Germany from Turkey. The NATO starting. Before I critical air respect to NATO. After the Ukraine, February, the U.S. the presidents and prime ministers of the EU who that since will take from the NATO. Its power. I mean, the French and Germany and Brussels, the EU fascist dictatorship, the Commission. It's not. It's a commission, but it's a commission of fascist. Okay, there's just all and you see evidence in they just extended from the EU. Almost no member state wanted to continue with it. Supreme and objective. So the Turkish coup d'etat includes Turkey in NATO, and I think that splinter is going to cause NATO. That's.
I was thinking if we can move forward here, that was really said was one of the arguments that you had during Greece and Turkey. Did you want to?
Before the coup d'etat in Turkey. To begin with, Greece was ravaged. Austerity budgets, a lot of government support for industries, and Greece suffered it. But to a lot of assets in Greece were sold off and kept as collateral, captured. But Greece is resentful and full of assets. Came Turkey. Turkey shot down the Su fighter aircraft. Their tourism went bad. Their exports of food sour. 20% recession. Okay, well, Russia's coming in. And their giant facility and their huge natural storage facility project to others. At the same time, China, one of the largest Greek ports, called Piraeus. Okay, are targeting Russia and China for, and don't expect any more problems to move through, which are control. The U.S. tried to cut off the Crimean neighbor.
To be ignored. Playing.
Yes, this is a touchy subject because the fascist dictatorship. This is their. Who says, well, this is what the truth. To the people we answer. This is a dictatorship. Two things that can EU is going to be. The first is the Russian. The annual. They call the economic performance. I think that central banker and elite barbecue whiskey. CEOs there with no industrial at it's a central barbecue and open. A few months ago, June, we had the St. Forum hosted by Russia. It just be that, but CEOs are content forum, whereas Davos fifth 23 among with Russia among EU was in violation of anti-Russian sanctions. So on the other side, that's between the United States and the shared trade union have all property. So in other words, the businesses sets and they will settle all disputes. No thank you. There's not a single country TTIP trade union and public have free idea that it's fascist. They think trade, it'll lift our economy. Nothing of the sort. So a single European country is that are failing. These are of the EU Commission being ignored.
Now, to a lot before, China is going to see. Now, one of your recent is that the yuan, the short-term, is going to be launched as, and this will, and we're seeing this play out right now.
Being with trade at ports. Okay. Now, Jen, the shipping giant, went bankrupt, went into recession, and had all kinds of problems. Ships roaming the globe. To a container vessel, 1,000 containers. The car it does in Japan to States. Okay, the and stories were told almost, I'm time to draw. Okay, so we're told that hydrogen can't cargo in Los Angeles, Oakland, Tacoma. That's what we're told. I believe told possession financing should comes in and says, but what 30 salute P debt financing. Okay, that should have kicked in. It did not. This is procedure, and it did not. And my team, a lot of this came right. And I think they're rejecting the Treasury bill. That's holding things up. It's in the works. That's why the is not working. Is non-dollars, and the port owners, retail chain, Staples, they're offering and use the dollars. So it's happening on the table of the debtor financing, but the bankruptcy of Hanjin. The problem is the Treasury bill. I think, and you've seen it in William, this Tacoma, Washington Port, South Korea vessel entered hours later. I think. Okay, now apart from the years, and this through and 2013 or so, you're going to start toward developing a note, which would be a type of instrument, and it'll be gold. We get some with payments, and we get more of this insane purchase. African hyper. It's destructive. Okay. So tip me 3 years ago, and now it's like on the verge of announcing RMB short. In other words, it needs to be 3 months as a vehicle, as security, not government. There isn't any. It will be that one engaged in trade the note called RMB. Very soon it's going to get a lot because it will be or a very solution solving the problems at ports. It doesn't matter that Han is And I think it's because the DIP financing gold trade not going a tremendous hit against the U.S. press. I think when it comes to anything regarding the chances are over 80% what you're being told is a great and hundreds of examples are new to this. It's a lot of internet sources, financial press, financial. You need to start understanding settling points. Complete about legitimately up. If the economy is in a growth, all that's what I think is happening. The gold trade will be it's close.
You know, it's Liberty.com. That's why one of the reasons I started is because it's just the mainstream. Besides, did you want some of the ways you see that the IMF would
Okay, a that by the West banker sells well banker cabal used for evil kind of crime syndicate, crimes against humanity, theft. Trillion, okay? It doesn't have to be a trillion. 1 trillion jackass, 0.2. Roll it over. That's what these bank cabal members do. Making this up, the Ron Paul inspired 2000 audit of the Reserve of law. 3 trillion. I think favorite system. Okay, so here's what this is complex. The major piece can Chinese RMB. I had a correct me and said, Jim, you need to understand. Yuan has a so the yuan is really the Chinese dollar. Okay. If you go to next see China trade. Okay, it's a court about currency. Okay, it gets very. He said the RMB, the denomination. That's how you do it. So we have. It's supposedly today. Basket of the dollar, the euro. Now there's the China. Okay. The dollar percentage weight does not change. It's under 1%. The euro loses, I think, 8%. British pound only had 8, but it's going to lose 3. The 8 plus 3, 11%. Okay, so questions come up whether there's going to be a new basket bond that countries. Well, if they do, they're going to be selling of the U.S. buying SDR of the basket. Well, sales. I mean, like hundreds of billions of dollars. So I don't. Now here's the super duper cabal solution. Come. And those gold and Switzerland gold. I don't think Eastern Asia or emerging market nation because it smells like what it is more, where the banker controls all the gold. Switzerland, countries like, and you want to participate with the gold trade, then you need to send us form you resources. Bolivia has lots of tin, silver, iron, copper. They don't have a future production. So, therefore, the system that I described desirable, but forced to contribute to Basel its gold reserves for the benefit of the world. We've benefited several years of QE, of and all kinds of destructive. So, and recovery in the economy, any recovery economy, we're seeing and China, two powerhouses. I don't provisions that I think don't gold to bond. They see it back. All you have to do is Fed, where the Dutch, the Austrians, so they steal. Okay, this is a prescription. Stealing, I don't like. Russia and China say F because Russia and China have made it polar. In Dubai, they want Frankfurt, Germany. Gold trading centers, gold gold vault, polar regards any as an act of terrorism. It's being exposed now. Has been a sponsor, and more the United States accuses other countries of itself in Washington. This is very, very dangerous stuff.
All right. Current forecast is Saudi. Do you want to talk about this?
Very nasty. And the Saudis. This is like corruption. As all the Swiss violations. That was 2013-14. Those. Okay, since when does jurisdiction the Swiss banking system? And that was more than that. Come to, and the voice was all over this from the start. What I've come to wanted to find involved giant. There are two, UBS and Credit Suisse. And once involved, were big, the penalties. But that wasn't the boys, bankers, to gain control of a subsidiary bank. They stole, and the Saudis reacted, murdered. By taking gold and moving it to okay. Here's some more Saudi history. Reports. For you. Were never as a called OPEC, kind of like the Caribbean hold, covers Caribbean and Bahama, which were basically but they hid the Saudi activity. Now you had some years from this by into treasury part cycling that the as part of the standard for Saudis 3 to 5 were they to them. It serves as the core for the U.S. government, Department of Treasury, exchange, which they around the world. The Saudis have been that it's too together. So the by the U.S. 3 or Now the Saudis cash. The U.S. press likes to say as they're engaged in a Yemen war. Costly. It's partly true. But gee, trillion treasury bond. Because they stole it. Aren't they to their $500 billion in we signed up the Saudis to be partners to execute the petrodollar standard, backing for the dollar. With the embargo, been crucial, not to practical sense. That's all by steering the Saudi in Switzerland and the bullion and telling cannot have 3 at the Exchange Stabilization Fund, and I guarantee no at the Department of Exchange Stabilization. Saudis are angry. They're feeling they're being thrown. Okay, they're heavily selling 10. See, Arab petro giant, not just production, petroleum, petrochemicals, and a lot of engineering facilities, and a lot of as consultants, the oil drum, and see a lot of the their motive for the Yemen with the U.S. and assistance. You get a picture that the of the share, which by the way, so they're Aramco at $11 trillion. It'll be the world to a bank. I think this buying in oil sales and oil supply, and the next will be the RM current sales, not just from China, like Vietnam or India, but Asia. Pay in RMB. What it's going to do is going to start a stampede of treasury bills, the banking systems for the countries that want to from very so this could be agents of Saudis to Saudi vetoed both the Senate over strange saying of the 9/11 there are about 3 Saudi and maybe actually draw that city exchange stabilization maintain very but I don't believe that except for Bandar those kids who were, because six, and especially the Mossad, but in language. Okay, so this was an inside job, blamed on the victims to draw on. You're going to say, foul, as in the United States, you stole, you sequestered and isolated treasury bonds, now you're open, ask for restitution. We're done with you guys. We're Chinese, and they've already got it to try to limit, to some extent, oil output and bring about. These are working with Russia on the oil industry. The Saudis as an industry piece, Chinese. Elijah immediately they accept for oil sales, and that is the death of the petro. 6 or 8 steps the petrodollar, and I've like the dismantling and liquidation of see final coffee. This for that.
Now that was one of the forecasts that you made that in 2014 that the Saudis would exit the yuan from China. We haven't seen that like Nigeria.
Yes, we have. They're not Persian Arab nations, but Nigeria, Africa, Algeria, which is this has happened in just the last several months. Nigeria and Algeria. Two within open, so China, except Chinese army, and it's coming. It's coming. You can just smell it if you have a good nose. That is, if you direct it toward mind control, mainstream music, I don't think you can see for anything. These people. I mean, I used to watch mainstream. I've got my suspicions, Elijah. When I started talking back from the war, I started reading things on the internet, other journals, started reading, going after the camera to capture the head of, and that now open public. So distrust of the for and entering the meat grind. No, I had a student deferment because I was the fact that for my deferment, and I may not get 60, and that meant the military for the so mainstream media now protecting the dollar. It's about the war. Sanctions. Well, which war? Good. Now, war is not just. They have a message that there's a trickle. No, they don't. You have a trickle-down negative effect, and the positive side does steps too. All mainstream messages are very. Military has a contract that dollars. National Football League, they have a guard, and almost every single mixed in and worked together. In most of the trends. This message is that the fact is soldier sacrifice, but it's far more complicated. I could go.
All right. Forecast that we cover you made in 2012. You said the U.S. government confiscate pension plans. We've seen this with worker pensions and lately with the money market funds.
Yes, we have. This and get a better feel of how it's. And those are two giant fund houses. They've got of law by the state that they've made. They invest count well and must be special treasury bond. The appearance special U.S. treasury bond. 2 years ago, it was 5th September 2014, Obama federal funds pay, it's called special treasury bond. I don't think there is a name for it. I don't get to it often. I just call it special U.S. So you have Vanguard and Fidelity collecting money who have been turned absolutely upside fund well. Zero interest. 6 months where they give you, that's nothing. Turned upside down. And they've got but treasury. Which again doesn't pay. The U.S. employee or treasury. Okay, trend looks that are going to be treasury bonds because why? U.S. trillion deficit. This is not small. I believe it 15 just ended. They're not just liars. They're just right to your face. They say the deficit was only 600 billion, but that a third grader you take at the end of the fiscal that it's 1.3 trillion. It's only 6 billion for the last year. There is no adjustment. Okay, so sick, Elijah. But is that the money markets through special? What's this is a forecast? What I think is coming. This not fully stated in it's not just pensions. It's 401ks, IRA, the company sponsored, personally managed pension funds, into the Treasury bonds. And a rather significant slice of, but here's why something similar. I believe we're to see the launch of separate only U.S. dollar. New dollar for payments inside the U.S. border. And it's given a name. It's given other treasury dollars to but at the same time, and pension funds. Later, the corporate pension fund, defined pension. Difficult. Smaller, right? Keo, significant 20 years ago, like for private dentists and things like that. Keo, he was a dentist. He's gone. He died. But sliced $1 trillion. 401k. And say it's to enable survival of, and you cannot get blood. If you've got or 401 doing well, the market's up, it might be deferred into special treasury bond that earns it and would be the U.S. government. I think the U.S. government has defaulted. This is a whole new topic. It's not just a federal went in bankruptcy 15. If the U.S. government entered bankruptcy, major creditors, I believe, we don't announce bankruptcy. The Treasury with QE support by the Fed. Almost all value as bankruptcy and default. Okay. That's about the pensions and money market.
No, well, in 2015 and other that trade and then later 1%. Now, you said but we're still waiting on the discuss a little bit.
3% treasury yield. They have a name for that. Like the 10 index. The TNX. And at the time, plenty forecast that you made. I said, time. Give it a year or two. The U.S. Treasury and the housing car market backed bonds. Let the student see a march into Treasury. You've seen that. I don't really know the 1% is going to happen. We have 5, I think. I don't have the exact number in front of me. Around 5. Yet, economic is becoming quite very full. Very clear. Now we're starting to mention say it looks like it can and they're also saying we can never percent. They're starting to see as a failure. They always call it a stimulus. Sure, it's criminal Wall Street. It's one. Fed printed money. It's happy making and spend a couple summer and get another boat made because one would be enough. And anyway, we might see wider of the U.S. economic recession. It's absolute fear and an important piece of business. One of aspects of a plan in and of itself. The effect they're not. We might, if the stock market decline, we might see the 1% target hit TNX, that yield. I'm a that Wall Street sees a big profit opportunity. Start making some negative, boys, lots and lots of S&P futures. It's the real, not a big future. It's the options S&P futures. An option has 100 be illegal, but they're not. Comes out and punctures their own spot asset bubble in the stock market, but they probably decline and make and say, well, natural portfolio place. Except you watch their words, outlooks, and all the different comments that come from the central bank, and saying the same thing. The economy is in big trouble. The only thing that looks really good right now is Treasury bonds. Who are the biggest holders? The Fed and the Wall Street Bank. Elijah, and not. If you take the 1.75, that's 5 point move from one, and I got down to something like 1.35. So we're about 30 or basis points from the recent bottom in the 10-year I described. So if we have, usually you swung up. That you'll have a huge cycle. Something's wrong. Okay, that's going to be the whole system.
Today, before we let you go, thoughts you'd like to add? Find you online.
Thoughts? I'll be. I think it's going to be a. I think we include the we might follow on effects from that. Away from treasury, from Euro bonds, away from Chinese bonds, but watch out coming out of the banker. But I think what we'll see is a big announcement. 2 days later, another announcement. Another week later, huge effect. When October's over, all of which is and no attitude. October and November, we were told that there'd be some things in September, but it's got foreign country and kill its leaders, that to change its the dollar. I call kicking to the king dollar throne. So plan nuclear war. Defending the dollar. Stages of the king dollar, it's going to be I said, well, now we're to the my father still that we're using war to defend the dollar. We're using war to defend against Syrian I said, no. Sponsoring Irish. ISIS. Langley Assad are. Oh yeah, but you can't these things with people who have distorted and from colleagues who experience defense and other things. You can't some the people who follow mainstream. They don't as fact, data, because they say, but there's well, I read scores from my Pennsylvania line. I lots of different these against banks and appears in the New York Times is measured in. You can't argue with these. It's been exactly 12 and a half years for the Hetrick monthly report. You can see my file manager and what's going. It's full page, 4 columns per page of documents because it's 3. One is a grand draft and 2 documents. The 2 monthly reports. And the other one is the issues superpowers of Russia and China, movements away with other platforms, bank, unions at the format, higher level things, global money, and away from the dollar, challenges of the dollar. Gold, silver, gold and silver, action, smart, things. So there are 2 reports. Point. I get every now. People interviews on podcasts, and they full. And compliments go. I'm listening to you and reading your public articles for the last 2 or 3 or 4 years. Interesting work. It's like a spine to a lot. You tie things together expertly for your work. People. The other compliment, years ago, 3 years to cancel my subscription. I've been back now for a year, and I don't know. Few others, and they missed a lot of things that you never. So I gas.com and expert you what's the familiar financial economic, you know, whether you're you or old experience. Think it's like a name factors got 6 chapters. I had 4, but they were. Maybe I'll get 2 chapters. Sure, that's okay. I already have tatters. I don't need. Leafs and looked at a couple. Okay, that's what my clients do. I mean, believe it or not, 76 countries. And so I got to. It's funny, but I invite people to go to the website, letter, and I bring me on again. I get all worked up, and I don't forget. We're death of the dollar of the American. It's called chaos. Trying to defend the dollar. It's like it's very, very. I just want to see. I'm a loyal citizen. What dictate? So restore. You talk about finances with the ideals of your website. Thanks for having me on. Bye now.
By Reluctant Preppers.
Responsible person. Personal liberty. To know. It's what you need to do. Responsible action. You to be here to subscribe for free to Reluctant Preppers.
Los Angeles, Containerville, 1,000 hinge on the cargo. The company does Japan or Korea to say across the United States. Okay, and I don't believe in finance, almost always correct in my either okay, so Tacoma and El. I don't think some that are financing should kick in. Specialist comes in and says, but we'll buy 30% discount and that's the lubrication in the system. The DIP, debt financing, should have. This is standard procedure, and it did not begin. And my team, a lot of this is, your came right out and said, I think payment. What? The cargo's not being delivered. Debtor financing is not working because the debtor in handing and the port through retail chain like or the dollars and the Asian. So it's of the debtor in, but the problem, the bankruptcy problem is they're rejecting the Treasury. We're starting to see the rejections on a spread basis. You've seen in some YouTubes, William Mount, Tacoma, in port, South Korean vessel, hours later, without, they're rejecting. Okay, now apart the port, I've been saying now for 3 years through advice and statements. Told me back in 2018, you're going to start seeing toward gold trade and it was in trade payment. He said it'll take time, but once we get some different trade problems with the dollar, you get this insane hypermonetary inflation. It's not good. It's destructive. Okay, so 3 years ago, it looks like China is announcing a short, in other words, short, it's like 3 months vehicle security secured by the trust, because there isn't any left. It will be back countries that want to get short, called the gold, our gold, to have a lot of publicity because it will be the solution, very important solution for trade. It doesn't matter. What matters is the DIP thing. And I think that financing agent wants to note. And that is not going to. I'm an advocate against the U.S. press. I think anything regarding economics that you. And I've got experience and hundreds to back up the statement. Listen, this is so press. Need to start understanding extreme news. About finance. They say that that QE bond monetization is good, that the stock market, that the economy is sluggish, and they're all. That's Elijah. That's what I think is happening. The gold equivalent to gold trade note, and it's
Definitely. We do it. In finance. That's started because it's not. Because I think people should know. Here, besides the yuan, some with gold.
This is a super banker. They don't call it. Used for crimes against humanity. Against humanity. $1 trillion never get paid back. I'd like a billion. It doesn't have to be a trillion. 1 billion. Zero. And I have to pay it. I would like these banker. Paul. $23 trillion lent to the owners of the Federal Reserve. I think that was to buy up assets in the world after they crashed the system. Okay, I think this is complex. I'll try to, get the major pieces and describe the best I can. The RMB currency stands for renminbi, and I had a Chinese said, you need to understand, yuan has a symbol same as the dollar. So really, the Chinese currency. If you go to Nicaragua, see for the Cordoba, a C with a it's Cordoba. It's a Cordoba. Okay, it gets. It just means money. Okay, money is yuan denomination. That's how you think of it. So we have it's supposedly turned RMB. Drawing rights. The euro, the British pound, and the Japanese yen. Now there's a fifth, the Chinese. Okay, fine. Dollar percentage weight. It's 1%. The euro loses, I think, percent. British pound is 3. And Okay, so be a new SDR basket. Countries are of the U.S. dollar and buy baskets. Well, if they be hundreds of billions of U.S. treasuries, is going to play out. This Western banker potential solution. They might come out and the fund, and we're now 5 currencies back, and it'll be backed with Switzerland, which is the bank. I don't think any Eastern Asian like what it indicates, where the banker cabal controls Switzerland and say Bolivia and others participate with of gold from Bolivia and secure it in any way, shape, the resource has lots of them, tin, iron, and lots of metal. Tremendous. So they might swap their other metals for a supply of gold. Therefore, in this described as savory in a unipolar sense, Bolivia, which would amplify its gold reserves for the benefit of Cuba, of this measure that and any in the United States economy, any recovery in the U.S. economy, now we're seeing right on the as well, are going to capture Turkey. Tried to cut off the Crimean naval port facility. 2.5 years. It's all
discuss now how you've said that the EU playing. Can you?
Yes, this is a touchy fascist leadership office. This is their helm. Well, a few months who said answer to the commission. The economic office is part of it. Okay, there are two things that the first is the Russian sanctions. We all the annual Davos Economic Forum. I can tell you is a central and elite banker barbecue and whiskey with no CEO at all at summit central and open. Okay. A few months ago, June, Economic Forum hosted by Russia. It just that were there. There. And I can tell an economic was a central forum. They signed deals with 23 with Russia. Was in of anti-Russian every. So that is defiance. On the other side, it is a dastardly dictator. Garbage into food systems. Shared intellectual property across Europe. The whole lot in this trade union, like have ocean of conflict handled by secure intellectual property. They will own and no, there's not a single TTIP just trade union. A fascist power grab. They think, no, it'll improve trade, it'll nothing of the sort. So a single and political trends failing faces are the babies of the commission. They're being
to a currency using China as currency. Now, is going to be launched as and this will kill the U.S. Treasury. You're saying that it's playing
being played out right now. A lot of trouble with trade and the standard and the vehicle Treasury. So they're called T-bills. Okay, T-bills South Korean shipping bankrupt. With receivership, problems with difficult to unload. Hanjin delivers
Jackass. So much today.
Oh, that's happening. I like, and we're in. This is resolution time. It's a period where we see things actually break. Pretty much done. Try more. They're not going to really get much effect out of them. But we're in the 90s. This is the end of the game.
To discuss about this today and how and it seems like a lot of them. Did you want to discuss a little bit about these forecasts? And I guess we can start with that train right now.
Yes, it's getting on the you have the and the French in attacks in Syria, Russian installations and killing their military personnel. But there are have with Russia to not stay from ISIS. So as I mentioned, very closely with Russia, pain in Syria. You also say they participated. They attempted to do coup d'etat. And there have been very far consequences for this. To me, like we're I hate calling it steps. Military. What I say is there's tighter going on than ever before, and Russia's requests to have usage of the Air Force Base, the gigantic Air Force Base spanning many square miles. Air Force Base in Turkey is that a month the U.S. military moved all nuclear weapons okay. The NATO the U.S. government began 14. The U.S. actually the members of NATO since is a state of the president will take orders from the NATO Supreme Commander. Stepped its power reach. I mean, all French and German Brussels. Fascist dictatorship. They call it the Commission. It's not. It's a commission of fascist dictators. Okay, there's no, just all orders. Extended. No member state wanted to have the lead take actions. So the failed coup d'etat. So splinter is going to cause some fracture. So that's the forecast. Fracture.
Now, I was thinking if we can move forward here to what you just said, was forecast that Russia and China totally capture Greece and
so there have been some events way before the failed coup d'etat. To begin with, Greece has they were for various industries. Well, Greece suffered it. A lot of Greece captured, collapsed, default captured, collapsed, seized by the German and fought assets. Then came Turkey. Turkey shot a lot of consequences after that. Went to the a lot of this went back to the food industry. It went south, and they suffered pretty much 20% recession. That's just horrendous. It's coming in and pipe with Gazprom, and they're giant. Their gold would they fed were and the Germans steal it. This is a prescription for while at the same time anything about IMF, anything about it. And you this because very clear. They want gold. Australia, France, other nations in the world. They want centers all across with gold centers, gold markets, gold vaults. The United States regards any importation as an act of terrorism. Elijah. Other countries being terrorist, the more it's being exposed itself in war. This is very.
All right, and the last main question that I was going to ask you about is the Saudi oil sales. Did you want to talk about this?
Dealing acts of corruption. Credit Suisse, regulations. Back in 2000. Okay, okay, since when does the U.S. government banking system? They claim clients. It's come to learn. And what I've come to learn is the U.S. to find in violation the Swiss banking and Credit Suisse. And once the funds, the U.S., the bankers, gain control, subsidiary of those two banks. So, Saudi gold. Saudis have by gold. Saudi okay. That's here's notice Treasury 20 U.S. Treasury bonds align OPEC home covers Bermuda and Bahamas, which are basically the Bank of England, but they hit OPEC. Years of by the Saudis into it was the Kissinger plan and as part of standard, and the Saudis accumulated 3 to 5 trillion treasury. They don't have access to them because it's for the U.S. government to treasury which use to the Saudis have holding Western financials together. We're still $1 trillion. To sell. Okay, desperate for cash because they're engaged in a Yemen war. Yemen partly. Why don't they